Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, just 170 days until Christmas 2022. Oh, and there's the new intro. You have that. And today we've got Jason Ward with us. Hey, Jason, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you, man?
I am doing okay. As many of you know, we went to Orlando last week. We had a wonderful time. Met some of our wonderful friends down there. Couldn't have had a better time. It was wonderful. So those of you that we met down there, thank you so much. Matt Risman, also thanks for helping with our vacation. It was the best. We really did have a good time, and we met with Yachty. Yachty got us into Disney Hollywood Studios, and I got in, got my very own lightsaber made. That was good fun at Savi's. These are a lot of fun, and they really do a nice job with the whole intro as you're building the saber. Right, they've got a big story around it and all of that. It's great.
Did you play that song from the intro while you were doing it? Did Kathy have that on like a boombox and she was like playing it, like doing this while you were like, yeah, what?
It was fun. I was the oldest person at the table for sure, and it's a lot of fun because mostly it was kids, right? There are kids standing around the table and their parents are standing behind them. I'm like, what?
Were you like, you spoiled brats? I work for this money.
Well, yeah,
this wasn't a hand me down. It was a handed to me by mommy and daddy. All right.
What are you looking at me for? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we built that, and it was a lot of fun. Really had a great time. But I brought home a little gift I didn't anticipate.
A new nickname. Your name is Wuhan Solo. That's what we call you now. Sorry.
Exactly. Exactly. Not all that surprised when we were there. Just crowds and crowds of people. You're all packed in. And you figure it only takes one. One person coming in, and then all of us are going to be infected. So we're coming towards the end of it. My daughter Shay started having like cold symptoms. She's like, these daggone allergies. I'm allergic to Florida. We need to go home. And we're driving home, and I started coughing. I started sneezing. It's like, oh man, I caught your cold. And then we got home.
You were like General Grievous. It's cool.
Exactly. Got home and thought, well, I'll take this test just to prove that it's not, I just learned that like Omicron, BA4, BA5, it's like getting a cold. I'll take this test just to make sure. And daggone thing came up positive. Still positive today. Vanessa, there's another.
You're a positive guy.
We exactly.
Right?
I saw Vanessa and her children, her boys. We had a really, really good time, and appreciate that. So just been wanting to come and just visit with folks and talk some Star Wars. One thing happened on vacation, and it's something that, and Dawn, thank you so much. We're on vacation, going through things, and many of you know I struggle with some mental health issues. My daughter also does, and we have our ups and have our downs. And then there was one day in particular where I was really struggling. I'm looking at my news feed, and some of the Star Wars news, just like in my feed, the videos and stuff, I'm like, you people are terrible. Like, there are so many grifters. There are so many people who are making their living off of spinning negativity. I'm just like, I want a nice vacation. Right? I'm looking for something to bring my mood up. I like to see something going on. So, of course, Meg and her daily videos, nice relief. But we definitely need more folks just having fun. All right, talking about Star Wars, enjoying it. And so I've been dying to talk with you all week. Been wanting to come on and talk about Star Wars. Just have some fun chatting with some of my friends. And so thank you for today. Appreciate it, Jason.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's fun to talk about things you like.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm like, what people spend a lot of time talking about things they don't like.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that's your grift, go for it. But I just like hanging out with friends and talk about things I like, and having a real a lot of fun. So we'll do that today, and hope that you all have a good weekend, and that next week we come back stronger. There's a few things. So I saw Ahsoka started filming. We got confirmation of that, and your friend Bespin yesterday had a nice article about Skeleton Crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Skeleton Crew's filming.
things are going now. As I saw, we still don't know the cast. They started filming, but so when they say like Skeleton Crew started filming next door to Ahsoka, or hand in hand with, or whatever, and we don't know the cast yet.
Yeah.
Who's
And
there?
I don't
What are
think
they doing?
well, I mean, like we know Jude Law, right? Jude Law's like the star. But if it's a bunch of like 10 to 12-year-olds, it's gonna be like Ducky Momo from ninth grader from El Segundo. It's like, so what? Like, so it's kind of like it's a weird one on the cast there, and unless they like announce it and say like, here they are with like photos and stuff. I don't know if they would do it. I don't know if they would do it until they had like principal photography pretty much done, and they could like show photos and stuff of the people in costume. I don't know if they'll do like any kind of like pre-announcements on it.
That's weird. It's just it leads me to another topic I want to talk about just a little bit.
Mhm.
But with all these Disney Plus shows, and they're doing and the way that they use the sets, the volume specifically, and I know like Meg's been really excited about Andor because there's a lot of location shooting in Andor. Our friend
Yeah.
Greg Robertson, Darth Elvis, he
Mhm.
went out there and got some photos when they were in his neighborhood, so to speak. And so we know some of the places they were actually shooting. We had friends out there taking pictures there when they were doing that. But they're able to sneak people in and out. They're able to do things without us knowing any context. I remember seeing pictures of Indira Varma, for example, right?
Mhm.
Wearing the Imperial officer walking across the parking lot there with the big robe over top of it.
Yeah, over at Manhattan Beach in the parking lot, I think.
Exactly. I mean, is that what we're relegated to here with Skeleton Crew? People with long lenses taking pictures over.
But even that was like Indira Varma and Ewan McGregor. That I don't know, paparazzi person, whoever was doing those photos, was like getting. I don't know if they would do it for some kid actors that may be on. I mean, for all I know, it's like a huge kid actor. Everybody knows who they are. They're on some Disney show already, and what. But chances are it's going to be some kind of unknown who was like, guest spot on some kind of CSI style show for one episode where they're like, I miss my dad. And then that's it. And then now they're in Star Wars. So that's probably what it's going to be. But
It's
we'll
tough.
see.
It's tough. I see they're talking, Nikki and Luke, some others, about the cheapened look of things in volume. We've talked about this before, but it's worth bringing up again that you have to be careful on these new TVs. You really do, because it can cheapen the look of what is actually really well done. And I bring up Rogue One because I watched it on my new TV and it
Right.
looked cheap. It looked like I was watching a cheap Doctor Who made for TV show, right? Not a high budget film. And people are huge fans of Rogue One. Rogue One's never gotten any kind of criticism over cheap looking sets
No,
or anything like that.
it was
In
expensive.
exactly, it's expensive, and it's it's really well done movie. And it was kind of jarring to me when I watched it to be taken out like that.
Oh, because
And
you had your TV on the 120 hertz settings and
right, and
yeah.
like the fast resolution and like to reduce motion blur and all of that. And they really need to figure out with these new TVs how to I don't know if film them is the right word, or produce them so that that effect isn't as prominent. But it was exactly that way watching Kenobi and these other shows. When you watch it, that background looks terrible. It looked absolutely terrible. You could absolutely see what was going on. As Nikki said, it looked like a Zoom background or something like that. It was like, oof.
Yeah.
And where I really noticed it in one shot is when they were shooting at the doors that Kenobi was behind, right there inside. And we got the troopers all set up with the heavy guns, and they shoot the door. And it looked very much like a set shoot when you see them do like a 3, 2, 1, go, and then sparks fly. I was like, oh, that looked really cheap. That didn't look like a hit on a door at all.
Yeah.
It was like, psh. I was like, oh, that was
little firework.
exactly. And then went back, turned everything off, went and watched it, without the enhanced graphics or whatever the TV is doing there, right? Turned down the 120 hertz, and it looked like it looked good quality. There's a difference between, let's say, I'm
back.
There's a difference between like a full production movie set quality. Oh,
whatever.
Okay, we decided we're going to use.
It does what it's supposed to now.
Very good. Very good. But that's I just to point out, like these TV shows and the criticism of the production quality, I think, is a blend. First of all, it's not a full movie production budget, but secondly, it's not as bad as you think that it is. And I think you watched on like an iPad or something like that, and you were like, "Whoa, it actually looks fine."
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So I have my TV set up pretty accurately. Like I got a friend at Lucasfilm hooked me up with the THX app for like tuning up my TV and all that stuff like a while ago. So I got my stuff set like for watching stuff perfectly. And the show itself, regardless of if you have the TV set wrong or not, does look a little bit cheaper. It does, like I said, if Mandalorian was Revenge of the Sith, it is Attack of the Clones in terms of the actual like look of the compositing and stuff. But two things is if your TV is set wrong, it will look 5 times worse than it actually does. And the other thing is, most of you guys who didn't like it have talked more about how bad it looks than you've actually seen it with your eyes. And now you're working off of a memory of what it looks like and not actually what it looks like. So I think some people down the road will put it on again when they're bored and be like, oh, this doesn't look as bad as I thought. Like I feel that way about Back to the Future Part 3. Every time I watch Back to the Future Part 3, I'm like, that's not as bad as I thought. I love this movie. And then I watch it and then I'm like, I like it now. It's in my life. I definitely love this movie. And I go to watch it again. I'm like, that wasn't that good. And it's just a back and forth thing for like, 30 years.
Yeah. And Nikki, I agree with you what you're saying. Do they expect everybody to understand this TV setting thing? No, I don't think so. And that's why I mentioned like they need to figure out something that counteracts that.
Do you know why it's that way? The way it was explained to me is that when you have televisions on the Best Buy floor, and they're playing that stupid football footage over and over again, all they care about is that TV on the floor looking brighter, crisper, with more frames than the TV to the left or the right of it. Like that is how the competition works. And once you get it home, they don't care if the thing is black and white. Like they got it out of the store to your house and your money. That's it at the end of the. So yeah, it's true though. I mean, back before COVID, I was the jerk at parties who'd be like, all right, I'm going to fix your TV for you right now. And we'd be going in there like fixing it because I couldn't stand how it looked or whatever. They'd be like, thanks, man, that looks better. Like usually.
Yeah, well,
You know?
that's true, and that has been a thing for more than a decade now, where they would say, when you get your TV home and you unbox it, first thing, take it off of the display like settings, like that. They ship them in like store display mode.
Yeah.
As you're saying, they just want it to be more frames, sharper, crisper, like than the TV next to it.
Right.
And when you get it in your house, it's too much. You gotta. It makes things look terrible. And the proof to me was watching Rogue One. Like for me, it was like, wow, all these TV shows look odd. Like anything. Like you watch something on CBS, NBC, any TV show, you're like, it's almost hyper real. Like
I talked to Dennis Murin from ILM.
Yeah.
When I lived up in San Francisco, I went to the movies, saw him there, and we were talking. And Dennis Murin was just like in love with it. He's like, I love that you could, and I'm just like, what are you talking about, Dennis Murin? You're crazy. Yes. Like you are like you're the most visually minded person in the world, and you think so. There are aspects of it where these weirdos like this stuff. It's
I will say at first it was sort of neat. I was just like, wow, that's really cool. Like that's hyper real. I was like, wow. But it gets annoying after a little while. You're like, this looks odd. It looks like I shot it on my cell phone, or like I don't know. It doesn't look like I'm watching a TV show or a movie, right? You're watching a show
first, but then as you get caught up to the speed of it, you start to notice like little things like slight lag in the way it emulates frames, like this little subtlety, the little tiny things. And over time, it chips away at the viewing experience. If it's a movie that still like performs well in that environment, some movies still do. Some movies still look fine, like more or less in those settings. But yeah, I'm with you. And when it comes to the Disney Plus stuff, though, I don't think anything on Disney Plus looks good.
So there you go. Revenge Guy is one of those crazy guys.
You're a Dennis Murin revenge guy. I knew it.
Hey, Meg. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by to say hi. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, my friend. So get back to Andor. So Andor's coming. August 31st. It's the next show we get. So we're in a bit of a lag right now. And this is where we get people just making up stories. People getting, too deep into the weeds on things. And one thing I saw, Thor Skywalker's like, oh, Star Wars is now second-class movie maker. And it's all gone off this Taika Waititi bit, which is in the thumbnail. Mark's kind of having fun poking, I'm going to kill your babies, whatever. I'm going to eat your babies. Taika Waititi's got, he's an odd dude as well, right? He's a weird guy.
I think he's a rock star. He's too cool for these nerds.
He is way too cool.
All these Andorks ain't cool enough for him, is what I say.
There was that footage of him, kissing, like...
Yeah! Do it, Taika! Little Taika. Do it.
Like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I don't think that these people are ready for this cool guy.
Yeah, he's definitely a rock star. But at the same time...
for a director, and it's not like, do you want the role? Then you're going to do this. It's like, no, this guy's just living it up, being super good looking, and women want to do stuff for him. So cool.
Good for you, buddy.
Good work, Taika.
But he's also he got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I was talking a little bit this morning. I think some of the shine has come off his star from fans. That like we tend to get we put producers or anybody on a pedestal and kind of think of them. I think back to Peter Jackson, right? He did Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh, he could do no wrong. Absolutely brilliant. And then The Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, where are the people clamoring for Peter Jackson to do more? Peter Jackson's a brilliant director, absolutely brilliant, but some of the shine came off, and I think
and that one is just like Rise of Skywalker. You don't give people the time. It's what you get.
That's perfect analogy there, right? Right, the parallel, perfect parallel,
like the same situation.
Exactly. It's not, you have a Peter Jackson quality guy, but he did Lord of the Rings, like, intensive. That was years of people living on set and doing those movies, and then you decide to do The Hobbit, and you overnight it, and it's.
But have you noticed that Taika's been pretty much pushing back on that very concept? He keeps saying like, hey, I when the time is right, when it's ready, I want to do it. But he's all, this is my movie. I don't want to go in there and just get it. I don't know the exact quote, but he basically said, I want to make it when it's ready.
Yeah.
And that right there is the important part. I haven't seen the new Thor, but I know enough people now who I respect who have, and those people who I respect, doesn't mean I don't respect the people who didn't like it, but the people whose opinions I usually line up with, they've been like, yeah, it's really funny in the first hour, and the jokes landed for me, but I can see how if the jokes don't land for you, you're going to hate the movie. But the jokes were good. It actually was funny. Every time the recurring gags happened, I thought it was funny. And so, but that's where we run in with Star Wars. Some of these people, even when the guy was joking in an interview, where if you just don't read a headline and you actually watch the interview, you could see the facetiousness in the vast majority of the comments, and
there you go,
going with it, and the irony and the sarcasm. They just completely are like, I don't get sarcasm or irony. Oh my God, fire him! And it's just like, shut up, nerds.
Right. Well, I mean, almost in the same breath, he talks about Jar Jar Binks, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, where do you think that came from?
He doesn't know who Padme is. And he's talking about, he tells you about Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith by name. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You're being willfully comic book guy. You're being comic book
Right. So look, and I agree with Nikki. I think if he does something with new characters not in the current timeline, it could be brilliant. And he said many other things in that interview other than, oh, that's right, I forgot those movies existed, right? Like, wink, wink, nod, nod, whatever.
But I mean, but you can come at it from different angles, though, too. He's working with Natalie Portman at 40. Back then, she was 20. The movie's like over 20 years old now. She's dressed up like a freaking clown for half of it. I mean, come on. Like it as a person who's not just obsessed with Star Wars, I think that you could make that mistake, though. I just totally forgot, like, you were in those.
Oh, yeah.
Living in the present. It's a thing that people do sometimes. So,
and look, there's some things that people just. I've been thinking about another. This is getting a little disjointed because my brain keeps jumping to different. This is what happens when you've been gone a week.
Yeah,
it's like for those of us who go to church and your pastor's been on vacation for a couple weeks and he comes back. Brace yourself for that next sermon because it's going to be a doozy. It's because they got a lot of
like 45 minutes over. He's like, he doesn't care.
Yeah. I got things I want to say. It's very similar, but there's a constant thing I've been thinking about, and it came from Ducky Momo. Ducky kind of started the thought discussion. And for those of you who have been following the channel, if you are one of our Patreon supporters, I post a question in there that you can put any comment or question in. It's like a super chat, and I'll read it during the next live stream. And Ducky posted something while I was out, and it's something that I've thought a lot about. Let's just kind of go through it a little bit. But so this is off of our Patreon. You can see this is Ducky's response here. It says, lots of arguments and dismissiveness from both sides when it comes to making good Star Wars, or making Star Wars for me.
Making Star Wars for you. That's my new ad for the channel. For you.
There you go. Here you go. Why is it half the fandoms continuously dissatisfied? Is it possible to make it work for everyone? Why do some shows succeed, fall short? This thought process. I like the thought process he's on. And he gets into this left brain, right brain idea. People who are inclined to value logic over people valuing like emotions, feelings, that kind of thing. And it says, in the end, left brain people appreciate beautiful artistic vision and are enough to overlook poor logic. Right brain people can be disappointed over the writing and not be as affected by the artistic emotional boxes. So, can they please everyone? Yes. And so a really good comment, and a good use of the Patreon ducky. So thank you for that. And we could highlight to other folks if you'd like to get highlighted. For just $1 a month, you can support us on Patreon, and you can participate like that. And you don't have to do the super chats here. It actually really helps with the channel and the revenue, being able to kind of count on some regular revenue coming in. So same for Jason Ward, Making Star Wars. It has a Patreon, and our good friend Meg, a Patreon. It's the best place to support content creators financially, if that's what you're inclined to do. So please do that. So anyway, I spent a lot of time thinking about this.
Yeah.
This kind of question. And I think Ducky's onto something here. And there's also a really strong sense of possessiveness with Star Wars, right? Like, we all have this kind of connection to it from our childhood. We all come to it from different places. And I've been thinking about like white knighting. Right? You've heard of people like they white knight for somebody. It happened with Gina Carano, for example, right? Gina did a bunch of stupid stuff. She got herself fired. Other people do stupid stuff and they don't get fired. So all of a sudden the white knights arrive and they want to support her and they want to defend her. And then they get, right? This kind of builds up this kind of...
the White Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And the same thing kind of happens with, let's say, Luke Skywalker, right? In The Last Jedi, or you name it, right? One thing that you really, really value in Star Wars, you feel like it's gotten a poor treatment, and all of a sudden you're white knighting for Star Wars as well. And I think that feeds into it a lot, as well as just like this. I've been trying to come up with a term for it to discuss. Do we have people who are now I'm forgetting the term. Thank you, Fitz, for the super chat. By the way, thank you for that. That it's a super sticker. Thank you so much for that. It's just that protectionism, right? Or what is it? Preservationists, right? Preservationists. I want to preserve the Star Wars that I love and become a preservationist, right? And then I white knight for my Star Wars, whatever that is.
But yeah, it's such a fallacy because it goes nowhere. Like yesterday, I was thinking about this to some extent, and it kind of lines up with what Ducky was getting at and what you're saying now. Is it's like that perspective is ultimately based in being reactionary entirely. So if you have a problem with something that's happened, it's already happened. So it's continually just going at what's already occurred. There's nothing proactive about it, and there's ultimately nothing constructive about it. For instance, though, there was a time, and I don't even like this, but I would still say this is proactive, and remember when there was that big, somebody did something around the time of The Force Awakens, and they wanted JJ to remember. There's like, please remember, Star Wars is a Western.
Oh.
And they got that message to him, and JJ was like, I remember, like, it's a thing I'm taking into account. Don't worry. In that instance, there was a reminder. This matters to this fandom, and those people at that time didn't feel like the prequels had remembered that. They had gone more, knights more medieval with the prequels than they did Western for the most
Yeah.
part. Yoda does his little Clint Eastwood move. That's about as far as it generally went, and then some of the Django stuff. And so that was their point. But it got to JJ, and he was like, he kind of appreciated it, I think. And then there you go. And then they did a little bit more with that. And I also think it may have influenced the idea of, not influenced Mandalorian directly, but the idea of, oh, we should definitely do this Western thing because there are Star Wars fans who definitely want this. This is like a real thing. But if you go the opposite way of, well, these people suck, but oh, there's a black stormtrooper, they're all supposed to be Maori or something like that. But Finn, John Boyega's already been cast and they've been filming for 6 weeks. At that point, you're just it's a lost cause. It already happened. So it's like fans, I think, need the fans who are preservationist need to figure out a way of letting the corporation know where their values are in that way, what they want, what their expectations are. That could be more constructive as opposed to just being like tearing down what they've already made. Because
I completely agree with you. Like preservationists, and look, this is one thing that I mentioned over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to show my kids in an easy way the original Star Wars that I saw in movie theaters when I was a kid. Well, George Lucas, as the owner of the IP, decided that I can't have that. Right? I mean, I can, but you got to go through some steps to get there, right?
Yeah.
But as a preservationist, there has been a big argument, like, should those movies be preserved, like in the archives that endure for generations, so people can go back and see why did this thing become what it is, and be able to do film studies and things like that. George Lucas made this, impassioned plea when he was worried about Turner colorizing stuff, right? Oh, you shouldn't be doing that.
That argument makes me mad, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Well, because George Lucas's thing was, you're colorizing somebody else's project. You're colorizing the Three Stooges. They didn't ask you to.
Right.
It's different. The auteur theory says, oh, if Lucas wants to make his movies in black and white now, he could turn them to black and white because they're hit. So I know. I get that. It's just saying, but George, dude, I would love to be able to show my kids what you gave me, even though it wasn't what you necessarily wanted at the time. I would love to be able to share that, like the silliness, the goofiness of it, just the nonsense of it all, right? I would love to be able to show them the original Ewok song, right, without going to YouTube or without going to get some despecialized version. It'd be great to be able to show that. And we were kind of talking right before the live stream. Disney Plus has been adding more features to some of these movies. And we had heard yesterday that you can get a director commentary version of the movies, specifically The Last Jedi. And you can watch The Last Jedi with director commentary over it, which is cool. Those are kind of features you used to get with like special editions of VHS or Blu-ray, whatever. And they're starting to add that now in Disney Plus. How great would it be in Disney Plus to be able to get like the despecialized original versions of these movies? But all that just is sort of going to the point of, we all, as a preservationist, right? I want to hold on to the Star Wars that I fell in love with. Well, that Star Wars is always there for you, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter, as an original trilogy guy, it doesn't matter what my thoughts are towards the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy. That original trilogy still exists. And it exists in the way that George Lucas intended for me to have it, whether I like that or not. But anyway, that's there. Yeah.
The same thing exists for prequel enthusiasts or whatever the Star Wars is that you fell in love with. That is there for you. And as a preservationist, somebody who wants to hold on to the Star Wars you love, and you want to be able to share that with new generations of people, you want to be able to share that with other people, that still exists. Whether Kenobi checks that box for you or not, or whether Book of Boba Fett checks that box for you or not, or whatever the next show is, right? They may not exactly do that. At the same time, we should be able to give that feedback. To
Yeah.
say, I like it better when it's more like Western, or I like it better when it's more like, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And be able to do that in a constructive way rather than just tearing it down all the time. And there's a a term that I heard years ago when it came to like management and being an employee and a manager of employees is don't be a joy sucker, right? Like don't sap the joy out of something somebody else loves.
Yeah.
And particularly it applies to if somebody's got a really good skill set, don't take them away from doing the thing they love to make them do something else because you want them to, you know, uh, round out their skills. Like help them do the thing they love more.
Right.
And as fans, we should think about that. Don't be a joy sucker. Like, okay, I really hate this thing, but I'm not going to spend my days just, yarping on and on and on about it to sap somebody else's joy from really loving something. And
I showed my 8-year-old. He was 7 then. I showed him the original movie, and he was like, "Yeah, okay." And then I was like, "So, did you notice how that was different?" He was like, "No." So then after that, we went on to YouTube, and we looked at like the special edition side by sides of like the differences, and a little 8-year-old boy just thought we were insane. It was just
yes.
like, how is that is better? Like there's stuff going on I like to see. Like how is that not? And it is kind of funny because when you do get like into you start getting fully stuff like, well, the subtleties of the desolation of tattoo. That's not how a kid sees it. That's not how
No.
people who fall in love with it and watch it for live see it. But it has always been weird to me that George Lucas was like so not confident that he was making the right choices, that he did not want there to be a side by side, because he
Yeah.
didn't want you to maybe prefer the other thing.
Well,
I
and
always thought
there's
that was a bit funny because I was like, if you were truly making it better, George, there would be no contest and you don't have to worry about it.
yeah, there's something to be said too about artists when they finish a project and release it to the public.
Mm-hmm.
That's the where it was when they released it. Even though the artist may feel like it's unfinished, and that is a common aspect or trait of artists. Like they put out their painting, they put out their piece of music, and they're like, oh, but that one line in there doesn't quite work. If I could just have some more time, right?
Yeah.
And they're constantly fiddling with it. It's a thing. So I understand where George has come from. He's an artist, right? He's a filmmaker, and he's like, oh, if I could only tweak this one thing. And the heart of it is, if he were have all the resources he ever wanted in unlimited time, he would never stop.
No.
Like he
It's a
did the
lifetime
McClunky
project until he sold it or bit the dust.
Yeah, he did the McClunky thing again to the original. Like, what was that about?
A few years ago, they were supposed to show the original Star Wars at like a film festival in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
And so I bought a ticket to it because I am like, you know what? I don't know if I've ever seen the actual original Star Wars in the theater. I saw like the 82 re-release or whatever it was.
right.
Like by the time I ever saw it in the theater as a kid. And so I was like, I should go to this. So I go on the day I'm supposed to show up, or the day I'm supposed to watch the screening. They're like, look, we got bad news. Lucas said no.
Oh.
He said we can't show it, but they made a new print for us. They like struck a new print of the special edition. It's brand new. It's never been seen before, and you could get your money back, or you could watch this one. I was like, oh well, I'm just gonna watch Star Wars. I don't care. I want to see Star Wars. So I go to see it, and when I went to see that version of it, it was like this weird in between of the 2011 Blu-ray.
Really?
Where like the Twin Sunset was like that version from the 2011 Blu-ray. There were like all these like little minor things. It was like a work in progress, but to me, it said even at that point, he was like, "Yep, there it is. It's done. We could strike this print of it." And then by the time it gets to Blu-ray, it's completely
He changed it again.
It worked
Yeah.
again.
Well,
Yeah.
and when he released it to Disney, he changed it again. And I think if he, as I said, if he had unlimited time, unlimited resources, he would go back to the prequels. And he
And
like
that was done. By the way, I think it's important to note that was done before he sold.
absolutely,
That changed, and then there have been no changes since he sold.
absolutely.
I don't
That's
think
important. That is an important note. And I'm absolutely sure with given the CG and graphics that they have today, that he would go back and touch up and fix things from the prequels. He'd say, that doesn't look quite good enough, and he would change it. Just because he can't quit tinkering, like as somebody said, he's a perfectionist. He just wants to make it a little better. Oh wait, this will be a little better now if I could do this, and he would constantly be tinkering with it. And that's the way he is.
I do that too. I get it. Like I release my own music that I like to do for a hobby, for fun.
Right.
I listen to something, I'm just like, oh no. And I'll go back and fix it and I'll re-upload it and then, and be like, George Lucas that. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
cares,
Exactly. Well, and so I go back to this being preservationist.
Yeah.
This idea of being a preservationist. And there's a line that we need to come to as fans to say, yeah, I want to hold on to the Star Wars I love and accept that we may not be able to stop progress, right? I can't make George Lucas go back and give me the theatrical releases again because he has decided that didn't meet his vision for what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so at some point we have to accept that Star Wars, not everything's going to be to our preservation standards, right? And so if all of a sudden astromech can fly and they never flew before, or a speeder can hover and it just fly, like wait, what on earth is going on? That's not how it works. But wait, that's not how Star Wars works. Well, understand that the preservationist in you is kicking in, and that doesn't change what you love. And whether they label a EU book Legends or not doesn't take away your enjoyment of it, right? I don't know. I was just trying to put all this in some sort of context, and again, Ducky kind of got my brain thinking about it, and spent some time kind of trying to process it. And this white knighting that we have going on, as somebody pointed out, like now all we do is have a bunch of armies of knights ready to do battle with one another. Right? We've all got our armor on. We've all got our pitchforks and spears.
Yeah, and it's boring.
It does. It gets tiring.
Predictable,
right?
And it's boring.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's just kind of just important just to like see something, like it, and keep enjoying it, be an enthusiast of it, or just like move on to the next thing.
Yeah. And so. And thank you for that super chat, by the way. Thank you so much. And I appreciate the comment. That's very nice of you. So I wanted to address this idea of movies being maybe second class, Star Wars being second class movies or something like that, like poor Skywalker brought up. And again, that kind of getting in this kind of thought is there was some concern, like maybe we're being too aggressive with movies coming out too quickly. And Star Wars movies used to be a special event, right? Like you got the original trilogy and 20 years goes by, you get the prequels, decades go by, and you get the sequels, and they become these massive events because there's so much time between them. Could an argument be made that whenever we get our next Star Wars movie, if it's done well and they put the right amount of time into it, as Taika was saying, right? Like he doesn't want to do a half-baked. He wants it to be fully ready. He wants it to be fully baked, right? He wants it to be done. Something that's fully thought out, planned, and executed. If we get something that is truly special and it takes longer to get it, does that actually help with what some fans have been actually clamoring for. Like, these should be major events. These should be things that are special, because
I
that's
think
what Star Wars has been.
that is, you can't quantify special, and it was special to you because it was. I don't mean you. I mean to this idea, because it was in limited supply, because you had to wait forever. But when Phantom Menace was pretty special, and I saw a bunch of Gen Xers who what for what for what? I mean, I'm just saying they waited 18 years or something, and
Yeah.
then they didn't like the movie,
Right.
and then they didn't shut up about it for 20 years. Like, so it's, I think it's a fallacy. And I think it's, you can't quantify special. All they can do is actually be committed to making good movies. And I'm even going to throw it out there that they haven't made a movie in a couple of years. So it sounds like we're talking like movies are coming out now when they're not.
No.
And then the last round of films, I don't feel like, the only time I felt like there was a point when it didn't feel special was Solo, and that's because they just put one out.
Yeah.
That was the only time. Other than that, everyone was pretty excited to go see a Star Wars movie every year. I think.
Yeah.
Except for the Solo thing was when they went too far. They got too greedy. They tried to shove too much down the culture's throat at one time, and people were like, I can't pay attention to this degree. I can't
Yeah.
keep doing this like that. But I think if they stick to that every other year thing, I think that's literally as good as they can do in terms of it feeling special,
Well, and
of
that's
it being
what
an event.
people keep holding it up against Marvel, right?
Mhm.
It's owned by the same company.
Nothing is special about Marvel to me whatsoever. For the
Well, and
record,
that really
I'm like, I have
becomes
a good time, but it's not. There's nothing special about it. They've been making like 4 a year since forever, and I don't care. I have a good time, but then it's never been special to me. And I think that's how Star Wars is going to feel if it's a living thing that is continually released,
right.
right?
Nikki, this is so pertinent. I said, wait, hold on. It went by. There we go. If people say everyone hated prequels, probably only knew people that did, and vice versa. The same is true today. We're saying, everybody knows, everybody hates the sequels. Well, that's because you're in a silo, a feedback loop of people who hate the sequels. Or you're in the other group that says, well, the sequels are beloved. People love the sequels. What are you talking about? Well, it's because you're in a feedback loop that gets you the same sort of responses. So,
Yeah, with the prequels, some time ago, I actually did see internal data on that stuff and exactly what happened with the prequels. And I don't know if they've ever commented on this like publicly or whatever, but it was, to use the term, it was a fan bait and switch. It was they thought that all of these people coming in were going to be the Gen Xers. The Gen Xers all bounced, and then the new generation came in and replaced them. It ended up not being necessarily a bad thing for Star Wars, but Star Wars grew at a very small rate. Like it almost stayed where it was and then grew just a little bit because you had some of the Gen Xers who stayed and then the new people came in. So there was growth. But that's actually why we end up getting to female centric Star Wars that a lot of people have on YouTube anyway have problems with. And that's because they were like, the only way to grow Star Wars past this and to not repeat that again is to go after the Hunger Games ladies that are like clearly clamoring for a fandom, want to be involved, are rabid consumers, and they need something that's like Star Wars. Let's give it to them. Let's make it work for the prequel people, the original people, and then you would have, and then we would see growth, and they have seen growth. Regardless of what anybody wants to say, it has grown.
yeah, yeah. I think that's undeniably true. And while there are fans who are largely disaffected with the sequels, there's plenty of evidence that says that sequels are growing the fan base as a whole, whether you like one movie or not, or whether you like certain things or not. Um, and we're seeing it double down in all kinds of new content. And so something I was going to put into the topic more is, and somebody asked earlier, have I started reading Shadow of the Sith? I have. I'm like 75% the way through it. And I was talking to Jason about it before. It may not be the book for everybody, right? It does have a lot to do with Rey, her parents specifically. They are major characters in the book.
Yeah.
A big portion of the plot revolves around them. Uh, and then there's another segment of Luke and Lando. And it reads very much as like some of the expanded universe novels with Luke and Lando on some mission together. It's great, great stuff. Um, and echo, echo, echo. Who's echoing? Am I echoing? Who's echoing?
I think he's just agreeing with me.
Oh, okay, okay.
In my excellent points.
Oh,
Nikki.
okay.
Nikki.
Yeah, I see.
No,
I've been watching. But so the Luke and Lando story is really, really good. And now I'm 75% of the way through, and the two stories are converging.
Okay.
And we're at a big action moment where something is happening and they're coming together. It's really, really good. And I'm enjoying it immensely. But if you are really, oh, if you hate the sequel so much, any mention of Rey or the characters involved in that storyline or anything that reinforces that story is an irritant to you, probably not the book for you. but if you just enjoy a good adventure like action, Star Wars, uh, chasing and running and trying to solve a mystery, it's a good book. I'm enjoying it a lot. So so we got a lot of sequel content in there. We've also heard that Mando season 3 might have some sequel tie-in, maybe loose, meaning that Anzellans like Babu Frik, right? We heard earlier that Babu Frik or an Anzellan might be in there.
Well, we haven't confirmed that the origins of the First Order are supposed to, that plot thread is supposed to be picked up in this series too.
There you go. There you go. So I think that there's plenty of evidence to say that Lucasfilm as a whole is doubling down on the sequels. That they're starting to build that in more and more. And as time passes and the storylines begin to kind of evolve, then we're likely to get more live action shows, more movies, more content based in that era. But I think also fans are really loving exploring characters that aren't pre-established, Din Djarin and such.
Yeah.
And that's where we see a lot of the fandom coming together. I think that's where Taika Waititi could really shine. We get him doing a movie that doesn't have anything to do with, say, legacy characters or a known storyline, because then it has more space to breathe, and it can just be Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and if I can like comment on what Nikki was saying, like what I would say about that, Nikki, is that it, like, oversaturation, you can decide for yourself where your consumption line is. You can decide, I'm not going to watch the TV shows because I don't think that they look good enough for me. So I'm only going to watch the films that, cost a high dollar. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When it comes to the Marvel stuff, I don't really care about it for the most part. So I don't watch every Marvel series. I will watch the ones that sound exceptional in premise, like WandaVision and Loki. Like, that's what I've enjoyed so far. I don't know if I'm your average Marvel fan in any way. So, but that's just kind of how I do it. It sounds cool. I'll check it out, otherwise I just don't bother with it. But when we look at it from the other perspective, it becomes, well, Kenobi should have been a film, going to cross my arms. But then if Star Wars is supposed to be special and a limited supply, how many years do we got before we're dead and we've only got to see 10 more Star Wars movies or 20 more Star Wars movies? So I'm just of the opinion that, like, you know, it's better to make it as best you can. It doesn't mean that I'm probably with Nikki in that I think Obi-Wan should have looked better, but I also can look at it and go, I think the story was, for me, ultimately very good, and I'm glad it exists. Like, so that, like, but you just, you know, you don't have to watch everything if you don't want to, or if
That's
it's,
true.
you know,
And that's pretty much always been the case, except now we're in an era where there's so much more content available to us. We didn't have streaming service shows like this before.
yeah.
Like the closest we got is go back to like the Ewok movies, made for TV movies, right? Those weren't stellar productions.
What?
Oh my goodness! And
Star Cruiser. Come on. It was great. No.
oh boy, go back to the old droid animated Saturday morning show, right? The droids, and some of those the things that we had Star Wars related back then
Yeah.
is the closest you can get, and the quality of that was nowhere near the big budget movies, right? The expectation wasn't there, but now we've got these TV shows where the production quality is far surpasses anything like Ewoks or and with the animated series, which I'd love to talk about the Bad Batch here in a little bit as well. Look, the animated series that we've gotten recently, the Disney Plus series we've gotten, the production quality on those is so much more than anything before, that we're kind of living in a different era now. The one that many Star Wars fans have never lived through. I lived through the Ewok movies and that. All right, I'm older, but many of our prequel fans that were growing up, who were 5, 6, 7 years old when those movies were coming out, they didn't live through that. That stuff was in reruns, if at all. But now we've got this new delivery model, and you don't have to watch all of it. If you're not into the animated stuff, which shame on you. Look, that's me. I'm joking. Look, if you don't like animated stuff, that's fine. I disagree with you. I think that some of the
Bad
animated...
Batch has to work to get this guy back, because right now I'm like, Bad Batch, who do you think you are? Oh, I'm going to show up when I want to. You're going to find out when I'm coming because I'm the Bad Batch. I don't even know why I care about the Bad Batch at the moment. They need to really sell me on why I care right now. I don't know what the plot of the Bad Batch is right now. I've lost the thread with them.
I love it. The Bad Batch is working for me immensely. And that's fine. Like, we could have differences there where maybe I consume the Bad Batch and you don't, or you consume something I don't. And it's always been that way as far as like books and comics.
But I am going to come in here and annoy you and beat you up about the fact that you like it every single day until we hold the same opinion. Sorry,
my goodness,
Nikki, what do I need to answer, Nikki?
Yeah. I'm looking. I saw her. She wants you to answer something. If they make it all connect, is that it? If
they make it all connect, I'm going to watch it, and people will have to. Okay. I'm going to watch it and people will have to deal with the complaining. You can't choose to not read half a book and expect to know what's going on. With Star Wars, they actually don't really do it that way.
Oh,
they usually make it where you could jump in on something as if it was your first thing for the most part. I don't think you have to know every subtlety of, Lando's thinking about his kidnapped daughter here. Like literally that kind of stuff becomes, I think, for the most part, extra stuff, right?
I was reading the High Republic. Right? I enjoyed the High Republic novels quite a bit.
I bounced on that stuff. I was like, this is the boring Republic.
But some of it was better than others. But then, like, one of the major things that were set up in the books was never resolved in the books. It happened in the comics. It's like, what happened? Like, I don't know what happened. Unless you read the comics, you don't know exactly what happened. Just all of a sudden, they're not there. And so, just a spoiler, if you're into the High Republic, you want to read it, whatever. One of the things was these Dringer. They're like Dringir, whatever. They're the plant species that will eat you. All right. And what they set them up in the book is this big thing.
Well, man, wouldn't it be crazy if this weed could eat you? I mean, okay.
All of a sudden, the Dringir are gone. Like, what happened to them? I don't know what happened to them. Well, they were defeated in a comic line, right? And so they're gone, but we had nothing in the books talking about them being defeated now, being gone. It just...
Does the Rock and the Plant, do they get along? Are they cool? That Rock and the Plant?
No, the Rock beats Plant. Rock beats Plant.
The only way they could get me back is if they made it into a movie and they got the Rock to be the Rock. And I'd be like, you guys, I didn't see it coming. You guys are geniuses.
So I'm just like, I get Nikki's point. Like, if you're going to make everything connected all the way through, and this is a problem I think the MCU is somewhat having to deal with that last Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah,
right? A lot of that was set up in the Disney Plus shows, and if you miss the Disney Plus shows, then you're kind of missing a big part of the plot line for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So there is something to be said that being aware, at least at some point, of what's going on makes it almost force you to watch things that maybe you don't want to watch.
See, I'm of two. Well, maybe I'm only of one mind on this. Like when something happens in a Marvel show and I was supposed to know like why that was important, but the show itself did not let me know why that was important and did not convince me it was important, I don't buy it. I just go, you know what? No, I don't care. I don't care that about your comic book that I didn't read and why that was supposed to be important, because the narrative of this piece of art did not make it important to me. So like that's kind of where I go, and that's sort of where I fall with the Star Wars stuff. That's why I do think that like ultimately it is a corporation that makes everything connect. So you are on the treadmill of emptying your wallet onto every single thing, and to make you feel like, oh God, I gotta know about that or I'm gonna be lost. But it's just not the reality. The reality is that every single one of these things is a gateway drug. They always come up as a gateway drug. And if the gateway drug isn't that fun, there's probably better drugs to do. So
that's a good way to put it. And I wanted to highlight this from Matt Risman as well, because retelling the story partially in Mando 3. So there's two other stories that kind of came out around this. Mm-hmm. One is, Mando 3 is going to come up, and we know Grogu and Din have already been reunited, but that happened in Book of Boba Fett. And if you didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, and all of a sudden Din and Grogu are back together, they need to somehow like wrap that in.
They'll do there will be a last time on Mando opening, like how they did for Kenobi with the prequels. There will definitely be something that does that. They're gonna have to.
I think they have to. The other part is what we were talking about with, I think it's in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Where they're going to have to give some Rebels context.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to want to go back and watch Rebels. Again, that's the character flaw of people who don't want to watch it. Maybe some people should be like, you need help. You need intervention. Go watch Rebels. I don't know. But I mostly joke at Rob because I don't think he's watched it. And he's like, I don't want to watch some
Or like Tony Gilroy's wife. He's like, my wife won't watch this stuff, but I want this to be the show, Andor to be the show that she does watch because it is intriguing.
Right. So if you watch Ahsoka, it's not like Rebels is going to be required watching.
Right.
But it's Ahsoka could be a gateway drug to Rebels for folks who have not watched. Right? So it could be like, oh, now I'm fascinated. I need to know more about this Ezra guy. Never heard of him before. Mm-hmm. Or a lot of us have been huge fans of the Thrawn novels. And if they bring Thrawn into live action effectively and get you invested in the character, maybe that is enough to get you to go back and read the novels. Right? Mm-hmm. Each becomes a bit of a gateway to something else, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously, Subdude, thank you so much for that reminder. We always got to say, do the things, right? Like, subscribe, all of that. Appreciate that.
I think you should be, Nikki, scared about Thrawn. I don't think Thrawn can deliver. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm super pessimistic about it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of telling about Thrawn, not a lot of showing. And when it comes to these shows, and that's how I feel about the Ahsoka narrative itself. like there's stuff about Rebels that would really help to know.
Yeah.
At the same time, if it's an intriguing narrative, my friend is lost in space with a bad guy, and I gotta go save him. Right? If that's truly what the series is, then we end up that should be intriguing on its own. That should be the premise. Where if what if I'm gonna say it, the Ewok adventure, my mom and dad are lost in the forest. I don't know, they were taken by the bad guys, and that drives the story. So if the story is driven correctly, I don't think you're gonna need to know all of the stuff from Rebels. But I also think, from what I keep hearing about that Darth Vader team being reassembled from Kenobi, I do keep thinking, why would you put Darth Vader in the Ahsoka series? Probably to remake that temple sequence.
They have to, yeah.
Fights. And I think it might be minimal. It might be like mask breaks, and then little Ezra's like, oh, and then that's it. And you're like, right. Oh, that happened. Okay.
Right. And you're going to have to do something with the Purgle leaping them out. Otherwise, why are they looking for him? What happened? Yeah, there's going to have to be something that puts us in context. Why do we care? And I agree with Meg largely with this Ahsoka season 1. It may not be much Ezra or Thrawn in it at all. Like, maybe none. Or hardly any, only at the end kind of thing. We've got a lot of things to set up for people who haven't watched Rebels. And we've got an Ahsoka story to tell that needs established to get her from Ahsoka the Gray, if you want to use the analogy, Ahsoka Gray to Ahsoka the White.
Or Ahsoka the Weird. I don't know.
Right. So somehow we've got to get her from point A to point B, where we pick up from the end of Rebels when she picks up to go get Ezra, right?
Yeah.
So when she comes and picks up Sabine, we don't have that Ahsoka in live action yet with the large staff, like in the white. Like, where does that come from? We haven't gotten there. So the Ahsoka season 1 may not be much of that at all. And we learn over the course of the season why she's after Ezra and who Ezra is. Again, a large group of fans have no clue who Ezra Bridger is. None. Never heard of him.
And like human men, Togrutas, if it's cold, you get shrinkage. You get it too. Like they're just like us. I can relate.
Shrinkage is real. I'm just saying. Real. It's real. It's absolutely true. Yeah. And certain things begin to sag more as you get older. So there's some
Santa's TIE fighter has truck nuts on the
back. Oh my goodness. Ahsoka filming's underway. Season 1's coming up.
Got the vapors
next year. I know. You can see the red in my cheeks already. Andor's coming up. It's August 31st, right?
August 31st.
Yeah. Very exciting. And we do this predictions game. One thing I was going to maybe introduce today, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it maybe next week. Is when are we going to get? We got to at least address it. It's right there. The trailer. When do you expect we might get a trailer, a teaser, full trailer?
August.
For Andor.
August, maybe.
Yeah, I think
because it comes out like the 31st. We said.
That's 30. So
that gives them exactly a month's worth of time between the trailer and that. So I would love to be wrong. I hope they do. I think it would be smart for them to do 2 trailers, to be honest with you, on this one. Yeah. Just because Andor is not such a legacy character that's going to, is the 31st your birthday?
No, my birthday's July 22nd.
Oh,
so it's coming up just a couple weeks.
Oh wow,
it's coming right up. I'll be double nickel 55.
You can't drive 55. That's funny.
That's true. That's true. Not even pulling a fifth wheel. I don't go. I go like 70. So
can we agree that Sammy Hagar more fun than Phil Collins?
No. No. Just because it's you. If it was anybody else, I might agree. but
Okay.
I'm not going to do it just to be contentious. No.
That's fair. You're 55. You get to be crotchety now if you want to. Oh, you know.
Oh my goodness. We'll talk about the predictions, but yeah, I'm not expecting a trailer until August, like double digit,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean,
12 or something like that.
haven't we had him about a month out? Has it been about a month usually?
6 weeks, I think, has been the longest, which
Okay.
would put it close to my birthday.
Okay.
You know, July 22nd will be close to 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
So that could be a nice birthday present, an full Andor trailer.
Because the thing we watched the other day, May came on for a bit, hung out with us. But when she came on, we were in the middle of rewatching the Andor teaser trailer because I haven't really watched it because Celebration happened, all that stuff, and then Kenobi hits, and it kind of got pushed back. It kind of was quickly sort of pushed down and forgotten. And as I was watching it, it occurred to me again that you don't really see Andor in it, not very much.
No.
So there is still kind of I think there could still be a character centric trailer that's going to sort of tell us what the show is about him, because right now it's like, ooh, interesting Star Wars climate in that trailer, but nothing about him. I don't really get a sense of him from it.
Look, I've caught on to Meg's hype. I'm absolutely excited for it. I'm really, really looking forward to it, and think that it has the opportunity. I was listening to some other like anticipation for Andor videos by other content creators, and I think overall within the Star Wars content creator community, Andor is something folks have a lot of optimism for overall. Like they feel really optimistic towards. You don't have some of these expectations of like a Luke Skywalker or a legacy character on like
Han Solo's my space dad. You killed him.
Right?
Yeah.
Nikki, you lie. You're not 71. Liar. She's like 17. No,
17,
closer.
yeah.
I'll say this. Nikki's closer to 17 than 71.
Nikki is a dyslexic 17-year-old.
She's barely out of college. Like Nikki's so young. Yeah, she's a baby. And don't beat me up either. Yeah. So Bad Batch is coming up. And again, I loved season 1. I'm really excited for season 2, September 28th. We've got a lot going on. Mando, there's a couple of topics I'm just kind of going down. Additional shooting with Mando.
Yeah.
Katie Sackhoff had to cancel out of some conventions. Speculation that she's doing some more shooting. Also, Ming-Na Wen. This is something Meg touched base on as well. Ming-Na Wen canceled out of some fan events. So speculation is that Ming-Na may be doing some filming for Mando season 3, which is interesting. Why would Ming-Na Wen, right? So you talk about Mandalorian, you talk about Mandos. Ming-Na is not. She is closely affiliated with Boba Fett. So might it mean that Boba Fett is going to have a bigger presence in Mandalorian season 3 than some folks have speculated?
Yeah. When it came, I'm always honest. I haven't heard anything about Boba Fett in it, and I'm not in saying I think he would be in it, and I'm starting to think maybe they didn't put him in the initial principal photography, and then there was already a round of reshoots that was always scheduled, but I'm kind of wondering if perhaps we may learn down the road that they decided not to move forward with another book of Boba Fett, and then more of those stories became Mando B and C stories, so to speak, and that we might see it kind of like go that way, if that's kind of what's going on. Because I do feel like a season 2 for Boba Fett would have been announced by now if it was going to be happening between 2023 and 2024, unless they're moving forward in secret again and doing a steel switcheroo. Uh-oh.
She cracks me up. Ming says she forgot that Fennec was introduced in Mando 1. Another person who should be dead but can digest chicken with a mod stomach.
Yeah, it's true.
I love that. Just the way you put that, Nikki.
Yeah, I really want them to do something like that character. I like Ming Na Wen. I like the design.
Yeah.
I like the character itself, but I don't feel like the character has actually had a moment,
Yeah.
like a real big moment where I'm like, yeah, that character like needs to exist. I'm glad, you know what I mean? It's all right now. It's all personality and superficial design stuff. Eating that chicken was pretty cool, though. I think Nikki and I can agree on that. That when we go to KFC, we both try and do that. I think Nikki does. I, but yeah, she needs like a really strong
I would
like
love to
story
see.
moment.
I would love to see something, and people have mentioned many times having a spin-off show or just a different show like Doctor Aphra.
Yeah,
And I think there's some great opportunities for some female-centric shows. Doctor Aphra for sure. Like that needs to happen in a big way. But something with Fennec, something with some of these characters, Bo-Katan, the Night Owls, all of that. There are some great female characters that have been introduced that people love. Ming Na Wen, people love her, and rightfully so. But that seeing something done with the character more substantial, I could follow you. Like so far, it's been a decent sidekick, but not a real strong like lead. And her
yeah.
character has the potential to be a good lead. Yeah.
They thought they kind of were doing like a Lord of the Rings, you have my axe moment when she was like, yeah, I'll hang out with you. But it was so like kind of subtle. It didn't really play like, yeah, let's get him Fennec Shan, space adventure. It was just like, oh, I guess she's just gonna hang out and eat his chicken for a while.
Yeah, and Nikki, I'll agree with you as long as it's not as irritating as in the novel. I've just started reading the Doctor Aphra comic series. It's fantastic. Wow, really good. The Doctor Aphra book, it didn't land for me at all. But so I'm with you on that as well.
Dr. Afro versus Dr. Afro.
Really good. Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
Excited about that. We talked about it a little bit more. And Tales of the Jedi. This is another that
I'm so confused about that show still.
Meg talked about it a little bit this morning on her update today. It's one that people keep forgetting about. It's on the 2022 calendar, yeah?
I think so.
I think so. And it's like,
but,
wait.
Like I know people who've seen it and they're like, yeah, they're like 7 to 12 minutes. And then yesterday somebody's like, well, the first one was 18 minutes. I'm like, well, I don't know how long these are. I'm like really confused by what it is, but it sounds like it's about an hour worth of content in the end, right? Is that kind of, am I in the ballpark of it being correct? Like about 30 minutes for the Ahsoka one, about 30 minutes for the Qui-Gon Dooku one. Is that kind of what it sounds
like?
Each
set of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So that's coming, and we're going to get more Qui-Gon. He's actually doing the voice acting. So
and his son's playing young Qui-Gon, that's fun.
Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
So we'll get more into some of these. Again, today was a little here and there because I've got so many things in my head.
We do what we want.
And I really wanted to get back on, let folks see. Look, I'm alive.
Proof of life. Proof of life. He made it. He's here.
Exactly. And this latest strain of COVID's, it sucks, but we're making it through just fine. I was so happy to get back to talk with you all again and get to spend some time talking Star Wars. It's been a fun show today. Plenty more to talk about, but I think we'll kind of cut it here, and we'll pick up again next week. You're doing a show again today?
I am. I'm supposed to go on at 11, but I got my kids here today. They were supposed to be with their mom, but they're with me. So I might go a little bit later and get them some chicken nuggets or something. So they're like, yeah, chicken nuggets and video games. I'll leave you alone, Dad. They've been pretty cool this morning with me. They have.
I do have the Mike Porter dad joke of the day.
I missed you, dude, but I missed Mike Porter's dad joke a lot more than you. I'm sorry. I hate to be so. But I saw Mike Porter yesterday. I was like, man, I missed those dad jokes. Where they?
Well, here we go. I had to do a little wordsmithing with this one to get it to fit,
Okay.
But this is the essence of the Mike Porter dad joke of the day.
Oh, you censor Mike Porter,
okay. Right? What do you call it when you returned on a late night flight, arriving in the morning? Return of the red eye.
He's back. He's back. Just when I thought he was gone, he's back.
Really good. Really good.
That's what he did.
To get the original, you need to follow Mike Porter on Twitter. And so you guys, thank you so much. It's always fun to hang out here with everyone. And Anthony's back. You can tell Anthony's back because he loves to do this. Wait, Anthony's most posted comment is this one.
Can you please read my comment from before?
Yeah. He always does that.
Can you help Anthony get back on the basketball team?
I got that. So I did see. What are your predictions? We'll talk about this more, Anthony. I think we'll get into like the Andor predictions. We'll get into the full the game and all of that that we like to do here at the end. So you guys, thanks for being here, Jason. Thank you so much. I'm going to go grab some lunch, and I'll be hanging out. Look, if you want me to come on and visit,
Nikki.
I'd be happy to stop by and visit, but grab some lunch, and we'll catch you guys later. All right? Until next time, my friends. May the force be with you, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye. See you.